Hello! This is the second of the new videos this week, and this one very similar to the first, but it's a slightly more modified, a more gentle version. So if this is for you, we still need a chair, and I've added a towel just for a little bit more comfort, and I'm going to use a roller as a little prop, as a little stabiliser. If you haven't got a roller, you might find that something like a broom handle would be quite good for stability. It's entirely up to you. You might not need the extra stability, but it's there if you would like, if you find balance is a little challenging. So we're going to begin standing onto the mat. Obviously, the thicker your mat, the more challenging it is for balance. So if you're really compromised, you could always just do this on the floor. And I'm going to bring one foot forwards, just resting the widest part of my foot onto the, I'd say sort of the edge, or just a little forwards of the edge of the chair. And my roller, or my broom handle, or whatever you've chosen to use if you need that extra stability, is just beside me. And I'm going to just make sure that I have enough opening on the back leg hip. So make sure that that leg isn't directly underneath you. Hand comes onto hip, and I'm going to just lean a little forwards and take a bit more bend into the front knee, just so that that back hip is really opening. Now my heel is nice and flat right now. We're going to begin by allowing a little bend into the back knee. Then I'm going to lift up, straighten, and push the heel back down. So we bend, we lift the heel, straighten the leg, and heel comes back down. Bend while your heel stays down. Lift the heel up, straighten the leg out, and bring it back down. So it's a bend, a lift, a straighten, and down. A bend, a lift, a straighten, and back down. Bend, lift, straighten, and back down. We'll do two more. Lift, straighten, almost with a forward propulsion, and back down. A bend, a lift of the heel, a straighten of the leg, and back down. Now slowly from there we're going to go the other way. So we lift first, we bend at the knee with the heel up, push the heel down, and we repeat. So we bend, we lift, we push the heel down. So we're going to, oops, I've gone the wrong way. We're going to lift, bend, push down, and repeat. So we lift, bend, push down, and repeat. Lift, bend, push down, and repeat. Lift, bend, push down, and pause. Now simply from there we're going to lift and lower, and lift and lower, and lift and lower, and lift and lower. So what is really important is that that back heel is absolutely in alignment, that you haven't twisted your foot at all. Bending through that ankle and foot joint. Last one, and pause. Now if you can, you're going to lift just a little way up, and you're going to bend and straighten, bend and straighten, bend and straighten. So I'm keeping my heel up all the time. We'll do 3 and straighten, 2 and straighten, 1 and straighten. Allow the heel to come down, stretch that front leg out, and bring it all the way down. So I'm going to bring the roller around. Remember, that might be your broom handle. We'll do exactly the same on the other side. So take the foot forwards, widest part of the foot onto the edge of or thereabouts of your chair. Make sure that that back foot is far enough back that when we take a little lean forwards, we're very definitely open at the hip. Hand can come onto your opposite hip, and whenever you're ready from there, we're going to bend the knee, lift, straighten the leg, and lower. Bend at the knee while the heel is down. Lift the heel. Straighten the leg and lower. Bend, lift, straighten, lower. Bend, lift, straighten, lower. Bend and lift and straighten and lower. We'll do 2 more and lift and straighten and lower. Bend and lift and straighten and lower. Last one. Lift and straighten and lower. Now we're going to go the other way. So we lift first, we bend, we push the heel down and the legs are already straight. We lift, bend, push down. Lift, bend, push down to straight. Lift, bend, push down. Lift, bend, push down. Lift, bend, push down. One more. Lift, bend and push down. Now simply from there, can you lift and lower? Keep the leg really straight. Are you breathing wide and full? Eyes are up, not dropped all the time. Feel that front hip is nicely open. Try and rely as little as is necessary onto your roller. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. We'll do 2 more. Lower. Last one and lower. Now simply from there we lift a little and we're going to bend a touch and straighten. 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 We'll do 3 and straighten, 2 and straighten, 1 and straighten. Lower down, straighten your leg and bring the foot down. Just shake out your legs, make sure that you feel nice and easy, and carefully bring yourself down onto the floor, and we'll do the thread of the needle. Now you have a couple of options here. To make it more challenging, you can take your leg out to the side. But if that is too much for you, and remember if wrists are not good, you could always come onto your knuckles, like so. So either we're outstretched and it would look like so, reaching through and bringing it back in and opening up. Or alternatively, and you could always use a ball or a football or something underneath your hand, or alternatively, forget taking that leg out to the side and we would simply reach through and back and open. So these are your options. And remember, if you have a wrist that's bothering you, come on to the knuckles and again reach and in and open. I'll just show you again what it looks like, slightly more advanced. Reach through. It does give almost a more stable spine, having that outstretched leg. Reach and all the way back and up. And then slowly from there, we come all the way up. And if you can, a little stretch across to the side. You can hold the wrist for an extra stretch. If that is too much for you, then just bring it up and over like so. This might be just enough if you don't want to take that leg out to the side. Now I'm just going to pop the roller to the side, just for now. And we're going to move into our little side kick kneeling position. Now from here, I'm simply going to bring my elbow down and reach the other leg out. So your most important positioning almost is this support thigh bone. You don't want to watch it twist. So we've come over to pause here. So this will make life a little bit easier for you. You can either have your arm out to the side or out like so, or if you can, we would bring it behind the head. And you're going to lift and lower. Make sure that the low abdominals are drawn in throughout. We lift and we lower. We lift and lower. We'll just do 2 more and lower, and 1 more and lower. So options, remember, are, if it's easier for you, you could always come down. If this is okay for you, you could always bring it down like so. and then your positioning would be here. But for now, because it is the progression, not the progressions class, the modifications class, I'm going to continue with my chair supporting me. So I'm going to lift it up, we're going to kick it forwards a little, we're going to take it back a little, forwards a little, and back a little. Just 2 more, and back, and 1 more, and back. Pause, let it come down, have a little breather, just for a moment, check the alignment of that underside knee, and then whenever you're ready from there, we're going to see if we could lift, and we'll just circle for 4, and 3, and 2, and 1, and then we go the other way, and 2, and 3, and 4. Slowly from there, all the way up and over for a little stretch, if that feels okay to you. And we're going to do that whole series, beginning with the thread the needle on the other side. So you can either use your roller, remember, or you don't need to use anything, or you could use something like a ball underneath. We take the leg out to the side. Remember, that's slightly more advanced. If your wrists are bothering you, go for that little monkey grip. And you're going to have the back of the hand onto the roller or the ball. And you're going to reach through, slightly more supportive using a roller than using nothing at all. And we open out to the side. You reach through, breathe, 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 and pull it in very strong on that support arm. And remember, if you don't want to take the leg out to the side, it's just a simple box position. Reach through and all the way up. 1 more, reaching through and all the way up. Now slowly from there, remember our leg ideally was out to the side, and we take a little stretch over. You can hold the wrist and enjoy that stretch. And all the way back up. So from there, I'm actually going to do this one facing the other way. Sometimes it's nice to get a different view. So this time, we're to the back. Obviously, sorry, you're seeing my back. But I want you to take yourself into lateral flexion so that your elbow comes down, like so. So now I'm really pushing my top hip forwards. This leg comes out to the side. Make sure that your neck is in good alignment with the breastbone and the belly button and pubic bone. Other arm can be out to the side or behind your head ideally. And all you're going to do is lift and lower. Lift and lower. Now keep looking at the alignment of your elbow relative to your shoulder. And lift and lower. We'll do 1 more. Lift and lower. Now slowly from there, you're going to lift that leg just as high as you can manage. Flex, you kick forwards, point back. Forwards, point back. We're just doing 4, forwards, point back, forwards, point back. Pause, take a little break, make sure that your thigh bone positioning is still good. And we've just got 4 little circles each way. So lift, lovely long neck, we circle for 4. And 3, and 2, and 1. 4 going the other way, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Pause, bringing it all the way up, and then slowly from there, a stretch up and over. If that hip is tired, just bring that knee in, or alternatively, we were doing the full stretch up and over. You can try them both. Intensifying by holding the wrist if you wish. All the way back and down. Now we're going to do a little bit of bridge. So we definitely don't need a roller for this, but we're going to come down onto our backs. So these are your options. You might decide you're just going to keep your feet flat. So we assume a bridge position whereby the feet are that little bit closer towards the bottom. The arms are down by our sides, maybe thumbs up, maybe palms up, it's up to you. Slightly more stable, is an arm out to the side. That might make things more comfortable instantly, even a little bend into your elbows. And we take an inhale, and as you exhale from a neutral spine, you're simply going to lift straight up, and then you're going to articulate gently back down. Don't overly tuck your tail. And again, imagine a small ball in between your knees as you lift straight up and articulate all the way back down. And again, lifting straight up and articulate all the way back down. Now, something I want you to think about is the position in the top of the bridge. So as you lift up, you're going to pause. Now imagine that your seat bones were like car lights, and currently they're sitting in a little bit of a dipped headlight position. Could you now bring those seat bones up so that they find a full beam position? So you should instantly have felt that your bottom and hamstrings are working a little harder. And then you're going to lay the bones all the way back down, 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 down. Now remember, you always have the option of doing this with your feet onto the chair. So this is an option in this position here, soft rib cage, and you would be able to lift straight up and then lay the bones back down again. I'll do one more so you can see this, lifting straight up and lay the bones back down. So that is where you can be if you would rather advance this off the floor. But I'm going to do it on the floor so that you can see at its most basic level. So I'll take the arms back to that almost T position, and again, inhale wide and full. As I exhale, I'm going to lift straight up and pause. Now we're going to see if we could lift a single side leg by almost internally rotating a little the support leg, which for me is going to be my right, and then I'm going to pick up the left leg. Remember those seat bones. Remember they are like little headlights. Lift them into full beam and then place the foot down. If it's easier for you, you might find arms down by your sides. They're more supportive in this position. Now I'm going to think about my left side as the support side, almost an internal rotation. Lift that leg up. And I'm going to think about my little seat bones moving into the full beam and bringing it back down. And again, we're going to lift the first side and lowering it back down. And we're going to lift the second side and lowering it back down. So your job is to not get tense in your neck, lifting the first one. We're just going to do one more each side and lowering the last one. Can you pause? Can you get those little headlights to lift, 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 lift up into that full beam position and lowering it back down, and then perhaps take your arms back behind you and melt the spine all the way down, 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 and pause. Arms can come out to T position. Now I'm going to move a little closer to the chair so that I can comfortably place my feet onto the chair, about a sort of small ball's width, a small deflated football's width between my feet. And I'm going to roll the knees a little to one side, keeping lovely length in my tail, lovely length through the crown of the head, and roll to the other side and all the way back. So if you would rather not have your feet on the chair, perhaps it would be more comfortable just to roll them to one side like so. So please listen to your back, either the chair or just keep your feet flat on the mat. And to the side. And you can always advance it just a little by crossing one leg over, take a little stretch to the side, and all the way back, rolling a little to the other side as well. And pause, and then we'll do exactly the same on the other side. So I roll away from the direction of the crossover leg, all the way back through centre and across to the other side, and all the way back through centre. Bring your feet down. Make sure that your hips are just feeling nice and relaxed. You might just pause for a moment with a nice open hip. If it's uncomfortable for you to open both at the same time, maybe just release one with the other in a good alignment, and then bring that one up and release the other one in the same alignment. And all the way back to pause. Now I'm going to creep myself a little again closer to that chair, and we're going to do some abdominals now. So I'm going to clasp the hands behind my middle skull and put them just so that they are really supportive in nature. The thumbs are down both sides of the neck, the chin is not clamped to the chest, and I'm going to bring both of my feet up, one at a time, up and onto the chair. So get yourself to a position that your thigh bones are pretty much vertical. Now find a neutral spine, and you're going to lift your head, your neck, your chest all the way up and lay the bones back down again. Inhale to prepare, and as you exhale, lift your head, your neck, your chest all the way up and lay them back down again. And again, be careful as you lift your head, neck and chest that your tail is still reaching long and lengthened. You're not letting your seat bones move into your full head-like beam, so you don't want your seat bones tipping up. Try and almost keep them in that low dipped beam position and lay it back down. One more. Little bit of length at the back of the neck. Imagine you are squeezing a small ball in between your knees as you lift and lower all the way back down and pause. Now slowly from there, we're going to think about adding a little bit of advancement to this. So see if you could lift one leg up. Lift your head, neck and chest up. Could you lift the other leg up without anything changing? Then could you take both hands behind your knees? Could you push the thigh bones a little away from you, deepening your flexion? Then take your heels back down and lay the bones back down. And again, hands come behind. Lift your head, neck and chest up. Elevate one leg. Make sure that your spine does not change as you lift the other leg. Slowly from there, both hands. You can always make it just one hand if your neck bothers you at all. And you lift, 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 lift a little higher. Then I'm going to take both heels down. If you'd rather support your head, you can. And lay the bones back down. We're going to do 2 more of these. So inhale wide and full. Lift your head, neck and chest up. Pause. Elevate one leg. Make sure that those little seat bones are still in dipped head-like position. Bottom rib is in, sacrum is level. As you exhale, pick your other leg up. Pause, glue those legs as close together as you can. Both hands if you can behind the knees, or just one hand. Pushing the thigh bones a little further away from you to intensify your flexion. Both heels come down and lay the bones all the way back down again. So you can bring each of your knees in, draw them towards your chest, maybe just circle those thigh bones around a couple of times, and around, 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 whatever feels good to you. And we'll just take the feet down, be careful of the chair, roll to one side, push yourself all the way up, and we're going to come down onto our tummies. Now, if you find prone is quite uncomfortable for you, you might want to take a towel. You might roll it over, make sure that it's comfortable to lie on, and you would almost fill the space. If you've got a big lumbar curve and you find that prone work really isn't comfortable for you, this might be a little bit of support, and that would position itself just underneath the hip bone area there or thereabouts. You'll know what feels good to you. But if you don't need that, then you definitely don't have to use it. So it's entirely up to you. Now from here, I'm going to stack hand over hand, and I just want you to think about a little bit of what's going on in your hips for now. Wide full inhale, and whenever you're ready, you're going to exhale and just lengthen one leg away from you. Just as best you can, really lengthen that leg away from you. And lower it back down. Now lengthen your other leg. And lowering it back down again. Back to the first leg, lengthen from the thigh bone and try and keep those hips beautifully even. And now see if you can go into a little external rotation and back to level. External rotation, back to that parallel position. It's an external rotation of the thigh bone. It doesn't matter if the leg isn't uber straight, just reposition that thigh bone to external rotation and back. Now a little internal rotation, much more challenging, and back. Internally rotate and back. One more, internally rotate and all the way back. Allow it to rest back down again. We'll go to the other side. So we lengthen first. And we're going to externally rotate and bring it back. Remember, if your towel doesn't feel like it's beneficial at all to you, try it with and without. So again, we're lengthening, externally rotating and back. We're trying to get that hip as flat to the mat as possible. An external rotation and back. One more. Position that thigh bone almost as though you're taking your knee out to the side and bringing it back. And now we're going to go into an internal rotation and bring it back. So imagine that thigh bone internally rotating and back. Internally rotating and back. We'll do one more. An internal rotation and back. It's incredibly important that we're able to spiral that big femur bone within the socket. If we lose that ability to spiral, it can have an impact on our knees and just generally our movement. So these movements of the thigh bone in its hip socket are really, really important. Now we're going to lengthen that leg again. Really, really lengthen it. If it's possible, we'll bend, we'll hold, we'll push the thigh bone away if this is possible. If it's not possible, just keep that in a lengthened long leg position. But if you can, we're here. Try not to take the knee out to the side too much. Really lengthen that thigh bone and very gently we go to the other side. So we bend if it's possible, holding the toes and lengthening that thigh bone. Just be careful of what your seat bones are doing. Try and imagine almost that you were dipping those seat bones down a little. Not tucking the tail at all, just not allowing a huge curve to come into your low back. And remember, if that bend of the knee is too challenging, just lengthen the leg away from you like so. And then slowly from there, we're going to add a little bit of strength work for our back. So where the swan sometimes is a little too challenging, we're just going to try our dart position. So from here with the arms down by our sides, the nose just hovers off the mat and no more. So you could begin with your palms facing, the thumbs just gently touching, and I'm going to slowly bring my face just a little touch off the mat. I want you to take a wide full inhale into the back and the base of the lungs, and as you exhale, open the collarbones out to the side. Feel the weight in your pubic bone, the length in your sacrum, the bottom ribs drawn in a little. And I'm now going to elevate the arms a little off the floor. More challenging is to come into an external rotation of our upper arm bone. So I'm keeping length in my spine. If your low back niggles a little, you can go into an internal rotation
of your thigh bones, and try not to keep your feet too close towards each other. That will open your back up a little, but you've got to keep thinking very weighted tail. Sorry, very weighted pubic bone, really pushing the tail more away from you. Slowly let everything come down. And we're going to try that a couple more times. So the arms by your sides, nose just skimming the mat and no more. And slowly from there, the head just lifts up a tiny touch. You're going to pull the collarbones out to the side, making sure that the pubic bone is really weighted, the sacrum is long and lengthened, the bottom ribs are in. I'm going to hover my arms a little, whilst I concentrate on the collarbones remaining open, spin the upper arm bone around so the palm is facing down. You're like the original anatomy poster man. If it's going into your low back, think less height, more in the way of length. Really feel that lovely, lovely length. And imagine that you're trying to shorten your middle upper back. Lower everything back down. You should feel those muscles just relaxing, taking a little moment to release. Last one. Hands by our sides. Nose just skimming the mat and no more. Inhale into the back and the base of the lungs. You mustn't stop breathing. And as you exhale, the head just lifts up a little tiny touch. And then slowly from there, open the collarbones out to the side. If you can, the palms face down as you externally rotate that upper arm bone. Can you really think about length in your spine before extension? So always lengthening before you shorten that middle upper back. Hold it there, maybe just for a couple of breaths. Big inhale and exhale. And again, inhale and exhale, let it come down. Hands can come underneath your armpits. Carefully push yourself up and bring your knees forwards. You might stretch out just by using your chair. Maybe that's too much of a stretch for you. Maybe you just come into a box position, curling the tail underneath you, feeling a little cat stretch, followed by a little Blackpool donkey, again focusing on the extension. Maybe you're happy to come down and just stretch to one side. So you'd have hands on one side and the opposite seat bone coming up and over your opposite heel. And again across to the other side. You do a stretch that works best for you. Holding and breathing. And then slowly we're going to come up. We're going to do just a little bit more work for the bottom. Now, where in the previous class, the progressions class were right down here, load bearing, the load is far greater, we're going to try and use our chair, like so. So I'm using the towel. I might just hang it over the front edge, because I'd rather that my arms were closer underneath me than too far away from me. You can always lightly clasp the hands together, make sure the elbows aren't too close, and try to find a neutral spine. Now from there, I'm going to reach one leg out and simply lift and lower. Lift and lower. Lift and lower and lift. It's a hip extension. Lifting and lowering. Lifting and lowering. Now you might find that these are enough for you. Lifting and lowering. Now we could hold it here and just do a little pulse. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Lower it down and bring that knee back underneath you. We'll do exactly the same on the other side. Now keep length all the time in your tail. So you don't want to be overly tucking, you don't want to be overly shortening that low back. So whenever you're ready, neutral, lift and lower. And don't think, oh, I have to lift so high that you end up sort of hiking your hip up. Try and keep your little hip bone lights pointing down and forwards all the time. And we lift, 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 lower, lower, lower. A little internal rotation sometimes assists with keeping those hips a little more controlled. Now we're going to hold it up here and We're going to go pulsing that thigh bone for 6 and 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. And then slowly bring it down and back underneath you. Now we're going to make a little adjustment to this. So we're going to push all the way out, and now I want you to come into a little external rotation. Would it be possible from here to lift in external rotation, lower? Lift in external rotation, lower. Now you have to work a little harder on stability. Lift and lower. Lift, 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 lower. Lift, 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 lower. Just one more. Lift, 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 and lower. Now you're going to hold it up here. Baby pulses. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause. Back to your nice parallel position and all the way down. We're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So begin nice and straight. Draw those hip bones back a little without tucking your tail under. And now come into an external rotation. And we're simply from there going to lift and lower. And lift and lower. And lift and lower. Lift, lower. We'll do 2 more and lower. And 1 more and lower. Lift it here and hold. We're going to do 6 little pulses. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All the way back down and pause. And it might be quite nice just to take a little stretch, curling your tail underneath you. And we're going to carefully come all the way back up and sit onto our chair. So we're going to finish with a little bit of rotation. So from here, you might be more comfortable putting something in between your knees. So I'll just use this towel, roll it a couple of times, and I'm going to pop it in between my knees. That's just going to give me a little bit more stability. Make sure that your feet are even, and I'm perched, you'll notice, on the edge of the chair. We're not sitting back like this, we're right up onto our seat bones. Now slowly from there, arm position is going to be a little Cossack, like so. So I want you to imagine that there is a box, and that is being held between your armpit and your elbow on both sides. You're going to squeeze the towel. And you're going to take a wide full inhale, and as you exhale, I maintain the shape of my box the whole time. All the way back through center. And again, exhale, 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 maintain the shape of the box. All the way back. So I don't want you to start to move and then you make a parallelogram. You've got to keep your rectangular box. The movement comes from your middle back, not from the position of your arms. And again, we rotate to the side and all the way back through center. Rotate to the side, exhaling, 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 and all the way back to center. One more, exhaling, 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 and all the way back to center. Now we could make it slightly more challenging by either a capital E position or arms out to T. Out to just a sort of long lengthened arm. I really don't mind which suits you best. I know everybody's shoulders affect them differently. So squeeze if you can, that towel in between your knees. Exhale as you start to rotate. And all the way back through center. Exhale, 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 exhale. Can you squeeze that towel? Your knees should not be pushing one further forwards than the other. Move from your middle upper back. And again, rotate, 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 rotate. Can you grow taller through the crown of your head? And remember, you have options, capital E or the T position. And last one, and back. Bringing it down, just curl your tail for a moment, all the way back onto the seat bones. Make sure the back feels okay. So we're going to do a last little extension. So I'm going to hold my hands. They don't have to be too high if you have trouble with your shoulders, But ideally, I'd say that the heel of the hand was level with about my ear. Thumbs are pointing backwards, fingertips up towards the ceiling. Now squeeze that towel in between your knees. So you're going to think now about your fingertips just lifting a little touch up, as though they had helium balloons on them, as though they could quite literally assist with the lengthening of your spine. Now you're going to think about pushing your tail in the opposite direction as you start to shorten your middle upper back, and you're going to lift your heart as though there's now a helium balloon on your breastbone, shortening your middle upper back. And then you're going to bring it all the way back to start position. And again, slowly, imagine that your fingertips, these movements are so tiny, could just lift up a little. Your thumbs guide back a few millimeters. You send your tail long and lengthened, the hip bones are pulled in, and you're shortening your middle upper back. Don't make it about your chin, so no chins pushing backwards. Feel the shortening of the middle upper back. Feel how your thumbs are kind of guiding it all the way back. And we'll just do one more. You can take little breaks in between if your arms get tired. So the arms come up, squeeze the ball, inhale wide and full, and as you exhale, think, I'm not letting my low back do this. My low back would love to do this because it's easier for the low back. But we're going to allow the fingertips to lift a little, the thumbs to draw back a little, the collarbones open, the heart lifts, the belly button pulls in, the tail sinks down, and all the way back and down. And again, take a little stretch. And I'd like you just to come down. And if you can, if you're onto your hands and knees, you can cat stretch and push the tail away. If it's not good for you on the hands and knees, maybe just use your chair and stretch and push it away. There's always an option, a stretch. If it's possible, take your hands and knees into the upside down V. Release one heel. Push the heel down, lift the toes on that side. So you're getting a lovely stretch through one side. And we go to the other side. Lift the toes, push the heel down, spike the seat bone, push them both down, spike them both up. And slowly from there you would walk your hands all the way back, just hanging. Slowly release that, lower back, upper back, eyes. And a little lateral flexion if you can. Can you come up to come over and back? And coming up to come over. Be careful that top shoulder doesn't fall forwards. And then could you lift up, reach away. Just lift the shoulders, drop them. Lift them, drop them. And then lift all the way back up again. Push the palms away. Open that heart center and bring it down. And that is us. Very well done. Thank you for doing this video, and I will see you very soon.